Hello, Void. How you doing? Fibiozo, back again. Now, when I first started this a couple of years ago, one of the first films I reviewed in my initial binge of movies I've been meaning to see was Doctor Sleep. And I ended up loving Doctor Sleep. It was probably the first 10 I gave out. It really scratched that sweet spot for me in terms of storytelling, and it got me good. So, I suppose it is a little surprising that I haven't actually gotten yet around to reviewing The Shining. Now, there isn't the exact reason I've put The Shining off for so long. Mostly, The Shining isn't one I revisit nearly as often as some other films. Now, I do like The Shining. I like it just fine. I don't love The Shining. There, I said it. I don't love The Shining. I think it's a fine film, but for me, I just think it is a bit overrated. A lot of people put it on the list of best horror films of all time, but it's a fine film. But I just don't put it up there. I think it's because it did take me a long time to actually see The Shining. I think I was in high school before I did, but it was one of those that had been built up so much that when I saw it, I thought, okay, that's good, but is that it? So, yeah, The Shining, it's one of those ones that's difficult for me to talk about. A lot of things have gone over The Shining. And Kubrick, I like Kubrick movies, but I have to be in the right mood for a Kubrick movie. Because it's mostly the pacing, I think, of them. Particularly 2001. That one can be, if you're not awake, it will drop you down. Okay, so, The Shining. Do I even really need to go over the plot? Everyone knows the plot to The Shining. Well, then Jack Torrance then takes his wife and son with him to a remote hotel where he's going to be the caretaker over the winter, where they will be snowed in, and their job is just to keep the place warm, lit, running, and surviving the winter, and give him a chance to write his novel. Well, then the son Danny is, well, he's got a little bit of a gift to him where he shines, as the chef Dick Halloran points out to him, where he just can know things that some people don't, or otherwise can talk to people without talking, or see things in dreams, or for him it manifests in Tony, his imaginary friend who lives in his mouth, who just tells him, well, tries to warn him about the hotel. Well, as the months go on, they get snowed in, and tensions rise, particularly with Jack, becoming more irritable because of his novels not working. And meanwhile, Danny keeps seeing concerning images and eventually is attacked by a supposed woman in room 237, which kind of sets everyone on edge because Wendy doesn't know if her husband did it or if there is actually someone here, and especially with how that he's not taking things very seriously. And eventually, Jack snaps and begins chasing them all around with an axe, as the ghosts of the hotel have encouraged him to do. Oh, it works pretty well, but for me, I think the one thing I wanted more was more haunted hotel shenanigans. Like, you get some here or there. The two girls appearing around, very creepy, very well done. The elevator of blood sequence, also very cool. But other than that, and the woman in room 237, there isn't a lot in the beginning. Anything. There just isn't a lot that jumps on to you other than the characters' interactions, which are very good, but when you're coming for a haunted hotel movie, you want more haunted hotel. And while Jack is seeing some strange things, and those scenes are enjoyable, again, they just seem a little bit too spread out. Now, when things kick into high gear, during Jack's rampage, and when Wendy is running around and seeing a bunch of ghosts, yeah, that's interesting, but some of them are just kind of, what am I looking at? The book, I believe, goes into a better job explaining what some of these ghosts were, particularly the infamous well-dressed man and a guy in a dog suit that just stare at her while apparently about to have been engaged in a sexual congress. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not sure why Kubrick chose to include some of those random little scenes without expanding on them, because in isolation they don't make any sense. That said, Jack Nicholson's performance is amazing in this. His just the facial expressions he's giving, the voice, and the line delivery, he is great. Also, for me, I'm still back and forth on Dick Halloran. I love his character, I do, but just he's such an anticlimax in this movie. He spends so long in the movie realizing something's wrong at the hotel. There's so many scenes of him working his way to the hotel, and as soon as he gets there, boom, he's just done in. Yes, he still served the plot as essentially bringing them a vehicle to escape the hotel, as well as his appearance distracted Jack to save Wendy's life. But man, they did him dirty, and it's one of those things where it's like, I do kind of am impressed that they actually went for that, devoting so much time to him only to just have him immediately taken out. At first, I didn't like that. Now it's I kind of respect it. So, The Shining definitely works. It's still a very good film, and I don't love it like I did Doctor Sleep. I know that's a divisive thing to say, but the movie, it's very slow and deliberate and oppressively paced, and you do feel that. But I guess I just wanted a bit more out of it. But what is there is still very good. I'm giving Shining a 7 MacGuffins. It's enjoyable. It's definitely, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It is a classic, iconic horror film for a reason, but just manage your expectations. For me, it didn't blow me out of the water, but I always did like it. Alright, that's all on this one. Still got one more review to bang out, so I'll see you in a few.